Some cars fail because they are ugly. Others fail because they arrive at the wrong time. But the Volkswagen SP failed for a far stranger reason. It looked like a dream, yet drove like an ordinary family car. Even today, many enthusiasts call it one of the most beautiful Volkswagens ever created. But when it was new, buyers simply weren't impressed. At almost the same time, another Volkswagen built in Brazil, the humble Brasilia, became one of the company's biggest success stories, selling more than 1 million units. The surprising part is that both cars were created by the same team, during the same era, using almost the same mechanical foundation. So how did one become a forgotten sales disappointment while the other turned into a national icon? To answer that, we have to travel back to Brazil in the 1960s, where the country's car industry looked very different from the rest of the world. Brazil had strict import rules that prevented companies from simply shipping fully built cars into the country. If a manufacturer wanted to sell vehicles there, they had to produce them locally. That forced Volkswagen to do much more than assemble imported parts. Over time, the company built factories, developed local suppliers, and created an engineering team capable of designing vehicles specifically for Brazilian roads and customers. Before long, Volkswagen Brazil became one of the brand's most important operations outside Germany. Its biggest success was the Beetle, known locally as the Fusca. It was simple, reliable, inexpensive to repair, and strong enough to survive rough roads that covered much of the country. For decades, it dominated the Brazilian market. But by the end of the 1960s, cracks were beginning to show. The Beetle's design dated back to the 1930s, its cabin felt cramped compared to newer rivals, and competitors were beginning to introduce more modern cars. Volkswagen knew it couldn't rely on the Beetle forever. The man determined to change, that was Rudolf Leiding. Unlike many executives, Leiding wasn't interested in waiting for instructions from Germany. Europe was already busy developing exciting new models like the Golf and the Scirocco, but Brazil couldn't simply import them because of government restrictions. Instead of complaining about the situation, Leiding saw an opportunity. Brazil already had factories, skilled engineers, and proven mechanical platforms. Why not use those resources to build cars designed specifically for Brazilian buyers? It was a bold idea, but it made perfect sense. His vision focused on two very different goals. First, Volkswagen needed a practical replacement for the aging Beetle. Second, it needed a stylish sports car that could improve the company's image and prove Brazil could create something exciting on its own. Those two projects would eventually become the Brasilia and the SP. Interestingly, both would be designed by the same talented stylist, Marcio Piancastelli. Before the SP, Volkswagen Brazil had offered the Carmen Ghia and later the Carmen Ghia TC. They looked attractive, but beneath the bodywork they still relied on the familiar rear-engine Volkswagen platform with modest power. Around 65 horsepower simply wasn't enough to satisfy buyers looking for genuine sports car performance. At the same time, a smaller Brazilian company called Puma was building lightweight fiberglass sports cars that were noticeably faster and more exciting. Whether true or not, a famous story claims that someone from Puma once joked to Rudolf Leiding that since Volkswagen didn't have a real sports car, he was welcome to buy one of theirs. The story perfectly captured Volkswagen's problem. The company had practical cars, but nothing that truly stirred emotion. Leiding decided it was time to change that by launching Project X. The mission was straightforward: create a beautiful Brazilian-built sports coupe using existing Volkswagen mechanical components to keep costs under control. Designing the car fell to Marcio Piancastelli, an architect who had gained valuable experience working in Italy before returning to Brazil. His challenge wasn't easy. He had to build something breathtaking without the budget for an entirely new platform.